Good morning, Fractal Effects team. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties. We were trying to go live for New York Open. Some issues with YouTube. Please read the disclosure if you're following along with us. Please make sure you do so in a demo account, as this is for educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. Since we're running late here, we're going to jump onto the charts. So we're still running the blue zone strategy. Sorry. This is the futures contract. We just took a trade. Fortunately, we could not broadcast that. Sorry, looks like we're not through the technical difficulties here. 1 second. Now just having some issue with some page responsive time. I know it's not our Wi-Fi this time. We actually have a strong signal. So, unfortunately, the trade we took this morning that we didn't get a chance to share was a sell. So what we're looking at today is an upside expansion model. We had a buy model. We manipulated down. Now we're looking for, and we've already taken out, today is Thursday, so we've taken out the weekly range. There's the aqua line. So since we took out the bottom of the weekly range, the only thing left is the top of the weekly range, which is sitting up here with all these relative equal highs. So we're looking for a 5M bullish fair value gap to tap that and to go at least to the blue zone. When you have a big drop like this, we took out Asia, and we're red across the board. If this was supposed to be incongruent with our bias for the day, which is bullish, then we would not have dropped this low. So we want to be careful. We're going to get a retracement to the 20, the blue zone, and then if it takes out the top, so be it, but you should be able to squeeze out a 1 to 3 from here to here, which is what we're going to be concentrating on. Still waiting for that 5M fair value gap to be created. Just be patient. So the trade we took was in the leap contest. It's right down here. Oh. Gotta be careful. Some of the lag time issues. We don't want to screw this up, but yeah. This was the morning trade. That was the commission. That was the trade. Sorry, I'm not sure why it's not. So all the stuff in the red is just the commission. That's the commission charged. This was the trade that we took this morning, just a few minutes ago. And that was again the commission for the opening of the trade. That's the trade. That was the close. So that's what our P&L is in this contest right now. As mentioned before, our goal is to finish this contest with a strong P&L. Our goal was not to win this, as people are over trading, over leveraging. This is where we sit right now. We're in the 5th percentile of all participants. There's, I believe, 59,000 participants. So in the last 27 days, I believe, today's the last day of the contest. Trading views, the leap contest, 16 hours left. We're sitting at 48.77% realized gain. 121,926 is the profit. Let's see if we can't get that to 50% before the end of today, maybe during the Asia session. But that was just to show people that anybody can do this strategy. One second. Yeah, majority of those trades were done in the Asia session for gold futures. So while we're sitting here waiting for this, let's see what gold's doing. Gold's actually been pretty clean lately. Excuse me. I apologize for all the lag time today. We're having some issues with YouTube. Would not let us go live at 9:30 for the open. So with gold, something similar. We have a upside expansion model. We had a buy model until the drop. We manipulated down. So now we're looking for a 5M fair value gap to ride this back up to the blue. Oh, my apologies. Actually, that never changed from NQ. I was wondering why they look exactly the same. It's all this lag time, making it hard for us to... There we go. So we're sitting in the blue zone. Still, we manipulated down first. We had a downside expansion model mixed with the neutral model here. Looks like we could be going in for a buy. Just waiting for a 5M fair value gap to be created. So NAS looks like it's starting to give us that 5M fair value gap. I want to see if this stays open on this next candle. That could be our entry to go back into right here. This is the highest I'm willing to go. Let's see here. I believe it's right in the golden zone. Yeah, so I want to get our entry here so we can go at least into here. Blue zone, purple zone match up right there. With gold, we're sitting in the blue zone. That in itself is big. There's a fair value gap here. I could go long from here. There's a 5M fair value gap right there. Remember, hit a fair value gap, create a fair value gap. Gold might be primed to go up right from here. Manipulated down. The only thing I want to see on gold though is what did we leave behind? Here's the blue zone on the 15 midpoint. That would be most likely our target because we do have a downside expansion model. There's only so far you want to take it. For gold, that would be our target. And there's our target for NAS. 1 minute 34 seconds. I want to leave this fair value gap. Hopefully we don't hit our target before we have that fair value gap. That's what you want to be cautious of, but that's the play. 5M fair value gap, tap, and then that would be my target. Let's just wait and see what happens. I like to check the 1 minute to see if there's any fair value gaps. There's none down here. This is the only one. I believe that falls right into the bottom half of this candle. So when we do get a fair value gap, or if I should say, if we get a fair value gap here, then we can retrace as deep as this. 8 seconds left. We still got to wait through one more candle, and then it could dip into this fair value gap if it leaves it open down to here, and then that would be the target. 20 EMA, take partials at the 20, try to ride it into the blue zone. So we manipulated down. This is where the double break saves our position. Now, if we get another break to the downside instead of leaving open a fair value gap, we're not bullish anymore. I'm not looking for a bullish entry. And since we dropped this low, I'm not really bearish anymore, so I'd be done with this. That's how we protect our position. Gold has hit that fair value gap. On the 1M, this is how deep the fair value gap was, same thing. So you'll want to see what it does here. You want to essentially see a 1M bullish fair value gap be created with the targets of midpoint and or blue zone here. That's just a waiting game. We have our setup. Now it's just a waiting game. Those would be obviously the lows where your stop loss would be set. Remember, if you're messing around with gold, know your lot sizes. Make sure you're in a demo account and you're practicing. These lot sizes are heavy. Gold looks like it's reacting. We want to see a 1M fair value gap be created first. Created and tapped. Still waiting for our 5M fair value gap to be finished. Still gesticulating. So there's 1M fair value gap right here. We're sitting right in it. Two minutes, 18 seconds. I like this. This means it's not expanding as much. It's giving us room for this fair value gap to be created, come back around, tap, and take that buy. Now that we've taken out the weekly range low, weekly range high is left with all these equal relative highs, but since we dropped this low, we're only looking for a 1 to 3. So if we get an entry here, .25, 2.31. Let's see where our entry falls. One minute, 17 seconds left. Don't get FOMO. You'll see it gesticulate and then drop. And if it leaves without us, it doesn't want us to get in. Don't go to a party you're not invited to. You're not going to have a good time. So on gold, we violated this fair value gap. That means we're not going to make a single move until we actually see a green fair value gap be created on the 1M. We've had not only one candle close, but two candle close below that fair value gap. Doesn't mean that the market can't just jump back up, but we need to see some telltale signs. Now we want to see price close above this. Pretty much the midpoint of the blue zone. My apologies for the lag time here. Three, two, one. Now this fair value gap is left open. There's your entry. This is why I hate this lag time. Like it, you want to mark this up as quickly as possible. Drop down to the 1M. I'll wait for that price to come back. Just be patient. Gold still just gesticulating here below that fair value gap. I'm not interested until it gets over this line. With NAS, now that we're on the 1M, I want to see it touch the midpoint and then close above the series of candles that created that push. I'll show you what I mean. I'm not looking for a little tap here. So it is yet to come back into the 5M fair value gap, so we're just being patient. Again, if it takes off without us, it takes off without us. It did not tap our zone. Just be patient. And it did not tap our zone. Could I leave another fair value gap here? Sure. I'm not going to chase this market though. We're sitting in a purple zone. I could just bounce off of this, come back down. This is still the only valid entry point. especially to get our, remember it only equated to 2.3, wasn't even a full 3R. I'm fine with that as long as it comes back down though. Gold, now it looks like it's making a move. If it closes, if this candle closes above this, then we're pushing. This one's moving fast, and sadly, our system is moving slow. Let's take it. We're going to manually close this one though, as soon as it hits. I don't trust. This is gold we're taking. There's your TP. Just going to set it right there. Our stop loss will be down here. This could be potentially an entry that's happening. Apologies. So no other 5M fair value gaps have been left open yet. 4 minutes, 53 seconds. I'm still interested here. Especially if we want that room to grow. So it's now sitting in this fair value gap, this 1M fair value gap. I want to see a reaction to the upside for gold. One M fair value gap, tap. Three minutes left. There's a sliver of a fair value gap that's been created here. Let's see if that stays open by the end of this candle close, or if we punch right through that and head down to our actual zone of interest. That's what I'd like to see. So it gives us room again to grow. Sorry, because of the lag time, definitely got in too early. Or sorry, I should say, yeah, too early. I'm just trying to get that going. It's been like that all morning. The charts have been slow, YouTube, even though the Wi-Fi connection seems to be strong. So just going with the flow here. That would have been the entry here. Two minutes, 20 seconds left. Let's see if it leaves this fair value gap. It jets down. Let me just mark that sliver here just with the line. One minute 39 seconds left. Gold still gesticulating. We want to see him make a run for those highs here. These highs to this high time frame PD array. Those are the two plays that we're looking at for this early entry. Keep in mind we're coming up on 10:30, so the spotlight strategy will be taking over. We want to see if we can get up into this zone as quickly as possible. So it did leave this sliver of a fair value gap open. We can use this, but there's not much room for growth here. So now that there's not much room for growth and we're at 10:30, I'm going to see what the spotlight strategy is telling us. We're red across the board. We have a red box. We still have a broken upside. We had an upside expansion model, and then this dropped and took out all the lows. We're right in the purple zone, and we're close to the 20 EMA. So we just touched that fair value gap, that sliver. Let's see what's happening on the 1M. See if we create a green fair value gap. This is a little late in the game for us. Remember, we're always looking for a trade setup before 10:30 for the early entry model, and we already got one. We took a sell. So now we're looking for confirmation. We want to see confirmation, retracement, and extension. We're sitting right at the 20 EMA, right in that sliver of that fair value gap. Gold still sitting in this fair value gap as well. Since we got a bad entry, we'll most likely exit this position just as soon as it takes out these highs. Let's bring that down to here. So we've punched through that sliver of a fair value gap. We've violated it. Let's see if we head down to this zone. Now, as soon as we hit this fair value gap and we get a bullish, our first bullish fair value gap, we're going to then wait for a closure above the series of candles that created that push. That's called our inducement. Just want to check something here at the US 30 real quick. Okay, so we're getting some reaction off that fair value gap. As mentioned before, I want to see it close above the series of candles. I'm not just looking for a bullish fair value gap anymore. I'm looking for it to close above the series of candles that created that push down. So here, the bodies. I don't care about the wick right now. So as soon as it closes above that, that lets me know it wants to continue up. Otherwise, it could continue down a little bit further. Let's look at US 30 on the 5M. So we drop down, hit the new week opening gap, the new day opening gap, the purple zone. And then we manipulated up, came back into the range, touched the purple zone, and then took out previous day's high. When did this drop happen? Okay. So now still dropping further, deeper into that fair value gap. Remember, it could go as deep as this fair value gap, this 1M. Keep in mind we had a 1M pullback here too. So now the series of candles that dig into the fair value gap have gone down to this. So if it leaves a bullish fair value gap here on the 1M, that could be a sign that it wants to push up. No confirmation across any of our assets yet. US 30 might be the first to give us that though. Get rid of this. This was pretty clean. It's hard to watch every single asset, but this was the more cleaner of the two models here. We already had an upside expansion model, a buy model. We swept to the upside first. We had a double manipulation. Double manipulation means you sweep up, come back and hit the PD arrays to the bottom side. It swept out London lows. Then it headed back up. Let's see if we get a 1M fair value gap here now. There's the beginning of a 1M fair value gap. Let's see if it solidifies on this next candle. "15 seconds left. So now this becomes our fair value gap of interest. There you go, we just tapped it. I'm just ticker tape reading for the people that are still following the early entry model. I've mentioned before my rules are as soon as the spotlight strategy is finished, I wait for confirmation, retracement, and extension. The early entry model for me is really just to capture any moves between 8:30 all the way to 10 o'clock. So we get some reaction off this fair value gap. We're just following it now. It's violating that fair value gap. Still waiting for a confirmation. NAS gesticulating at that 1M fair value gap. Let's see if it pushes up from here. We want to see this candle at least close above. Give us a bullish engulf. Well, it's not really an engulfing. I guess you can call that that. Taking another swipe at it. Patiently waiting. Looks like it's moving now. This was the original series of candles. We were waiting for it to close above to demonstrate a bullish run. Back at that 1 minute fair value gap. Remember, you don't want to see this much gesticulation happening, this much consolidation at a fair value gap, especially one that's been violated and hit many times. It's already been filled. So if the market wanted to push up, it would do so immediately, unless there's just manipulation happening. They might do another run to take out these lows, then push up. That's why I proceed with caution. If you see too many candles closing in a fair value gap, better to just exit. Exit at break even. We're red across the board right now. No confirmation. We're just doing some ticker tape reading here, still waiting for that confirmation though. As soon as this candle closes above this, you should see a push. You shouldn't see any more drops. Excuse me, any more drops. And this is why I switch over to the spotlight strategy after 10:30. Because if you haven't had a push by the time it hits 10:30, It's just going to gesticulate. It's going to take its time. It's going to crawl. And I told you guys this before. I don't know about you, but my time is valuable. I don't want to sit there watching something. If it doesn't come quick, if it's not obvious, I don't want it. I'm willing to walk away from it. It's almost like being in a relationship. If somebody was in a relationship with you and they were always gaslighting you, would you stick around? No. That's what the market does. It's psychology and reverse psychology at the same time. That's gaslighting. Who wants to sit in front of that? Listen to that. So that's why I just wait for the pattern to look more clean and clear. Confirmation, then we wait for that retracement, and then an extension. But everything coming in from the early model does let me know my bias is still at least bullish until we hit here. And then we'll see, do we get that push down? Just under 61% of the range right now, but we're above 50. So it could always turn around at 50 as well. But I'd like to see it come all the way up here, touch this green. We'll see if it does that. Because remember on the 5M, that's where the blue zone is. Just waiting for it to load. There you go. There's the blue zone. And right under it's the purple zone. So I just put it right under the purple zone. We'll just wait and watch. Just frozen at that 1M fair value gap. Move this fib over. No other confirmation as of yet across any of our assets. US 30 might give us one here. So if US 30 gives us a bullish confirmation, NAS just dropped again. So if US 30 gives us that confirmation, this is our fair value gap of interest where the 20 sits. Let's change that color. Now we want to get a confirmation first. What happened yesterday? I believe it was yesterday or it was on Tuesday. We didn't get the confirmation and the market kept dropping and just pushed right through. So always wait for that confirmation first. Then the retracement is what we want to see. If we get this early retracement without confirmation, there'd have to be a lot more confluence here. Otherwise, it could just push all the way to the blue zone. As, again, back at this fair value gap. So it's sweeping out these lows now, which is another telltale sign that it does want to push up. It's just anytime you see this kind of gesticulation, it doesn't want you to catch the move. So let's see if it sweeps out these lows and pushes up from here. I still want to see what it does here. I'm more interested here. This is a big drop. We've left the NYC fair value gap open right here. That was the breakaway gap. Left another fair value gap, and now we're back at this one. So I do want to see a deeper retracement, and then I want to see what the market does here. Just patiently waiting. We've already hit the bottom of the weekly range. Remember on Thursdays, we like to retrace to the weekly range, which is the aqua line that's painted out by the indicator. We've taken out the bottom of the weekly range. We have not taken out the top, which is also sitting with all these equal relative highs up here. All these highs. And we manipulated down first. Manipulated down first. It's another sign that we want to go up. Just got to be patient though. About 5 minutes away from 11. So we've taken out these lows on the 5M. Now let's see what it wants to do. If it gets below the weekly gap again, the weekly range right there with the aqua line, then it could push down, or at least fill in 50% of this wick. But I want to see it stay above this. Let's see what happens. US 30 still hasn't given us a confirmation. US 30 has already taken out the weekly range to the top. And remember, we manipulated up, came back into the range, then up again. So we could actually retrace all the way back to the blue range, but we'll see. If we don't get a confirmation first, we could retrace all the way to the blue. NAS right at that weekly range low. Still at that fair value gap, still at the weekly range. Let's see if we get a bounce from here. Everything's moving super, super slow right now. No other confirmation as of yet. US 30 slowly making its way to this fair value gap in the 20 EMA, but we do not have a confirmation yet. So now we're testing that weekly range. Digging deeper, remember I said it could come all the way down into this fair value gap. Let's see if it punches past this or if it turns around here. Getting some reaction now off the weekly range. I don't believe we've touched that fair value gap, or have we? No, just short of that fair value gap. We're right across the board right now. So the fact that it hasn't touched the 20 EMA yet, if we get a bearish confirmation, that's a good sign for us that it will retrace back and touch that 20. Still just bouncing off that weekly range, just waiting. Nothing as of yet. We just got a confirmation on GBP USD. I'd rather switch over there. Let's see what that looks like. Downside expansion model. We swept out the lows first. We have a bearish confirmation. I want to see where the blue zone is on the 15M. I can see us retracing at least back up to here. Right inside the blue zone, I guess. You can tighten this. So before that, we actually had a buy model. We had a buy model with a contraction model from Asia going into London. So that means on a contraction model, usually the market likes to take out both sides. We're red across the board, but we are bullish on the 4-hour and the daily. Just want to take a look at what the day candle was doing. Sorry about the scrolling here again. Just having some issues with it. NAS looks like it's bouncing off the weekly range. Let's see what's going to happen there. So here's the day range. Just want to see if previous day's candle closed above or below the candle before that. So previous day candle, that's this one right here, took out all the liquidity. So we swept out the highs, and we still closed above the wick and body of the candle before that. And now we've taken out 50% of the wick of, sorry, I don't know why it's all this lag time. It's moving my charts real slow. I'm just gonna wait till that stops actually. Not even touching it right now. Okay. Okay, finally it stopped. So today we've taken out the midpoint and we're sitting all the way below this candle. So everything is bearish, but we could get a reaction from here back up here. Let's drop back to the 5M. See how long this takes to recenter now. My apologies for the lag. We're not sure what's happening. It's the same issue that prevented us from going live in New York. We're having issues with YouTube. So we have our bearish confirmation. There's your 20 EMA. Looks like NAS is pushing up now. I've said it before, until NAS closes above here, it could continue to just gesticulate, stay in the range, and drop. Let's look at it on the 1M. So we did take out this high right here, leaving a fair value gap. So it could still come all the way up to here. But we're red across the board. We've had no confirmation. I'm waiting for a confirmation. So now that we know that the manipulation move was to the downside first, we had a pullback, and then we had a double break. So we might not get all the way up here. Let's see what the market does. Let's see it come back and touch this 20. React off of here, but it could retrace all the way up here and then push down. Just want to check what the daily lows were. So that would be the target. To the downside. About 17 minutes left in our stream. Not too much room to grow. That's why a deeper retracement makes more sense. There's NAS pushing. So it still respected this 5M fair value gap. We never broke past it. Now we're back at the 20 EMA. Let's see if we push past this, take out these highs, tap this, and then we'll see what happens there. If it wants to push up or push down. But I can see it coming back up to, remember, it's magnetically drawn to these zones. The blue zone, the purple zone. That's why I put that line right there, because our purple zone runs right under the blue zone. Just has to tap it, doesn't have to go deep into it. But I see it coming all the way up here first before making any other moves. That's what we're waiting on. NAS on the left, US 30 on the right. No other confirmation yet. So now it looks like it wants to at least push up back to the blue zone. We're on the other side of that 20 now. Three minutes left. On the 1M, I'm assuming we probably already had a candle close above that range. So we've had a candle. Did we close above that range? It's right there. Yeah, so we closed above that range. Any one of these fair value gaps, push up there. Two minutes left. Let's see if it leaves this fair value gap open. That'll become the new reference point. Get rid of this one. Get all these lines. Slowly making its way back up now. There's been no double breaks. If you don't have any double breaks by 10:30, double break again, watch that video, understand the terminology. We did not break twice to the manipulation side, which means it does want to come back up and touch the blue zone, the purple zone, and then decide from here exactly what it wants to do. I can see it getting all the way up to this green line. We got about 10 minutes left. Sadly, we had no confirmation though, so nothing I'm interested in. With GBP USD, could react off this fair value gap. Just don't like the fact there's no real room here. There's the daily lows. So from here to here, I don't really care to catch that, especially since the blue zone's all the way up here. We never touched the blue zone. We broke it. We created it. We stayed under it this whole time. And we manipulated this way. So even though we had a double break this way, I Still want to see if it gets all the way up to the blue zone. Could punch right through this, take out these highs. Look at all these little highs that it's created. Relative equal highs, relative equal highs. The market hates straight lines. We can take this time to actually go over the early session. So with Asia, we manipulated down first, created a 5M fair value gap. Don't think we tapped it until late. I was just looking at it. So that was the 5M fair value gap. Also the Asia fair value gap as well. Didn't tap it. Market took this one and then rode that to the top. Could have got a 1 to 3 in there. Then came back down, tapped, barely, again, did not really tap it, but filled in this fair value gap. It took off. London was a bit of a mixed bag. We manipulated up first, created a fair value gap here, I believe. Didn't really tap it, didn't take out the lows. We got a bullish confirmation. Retracement, small retracement, took a little while, then pushed up. There's really no news drivers today. So a bit of a slow week in general. About 7 minutes left in our stream. Not really interested in this GBP move. We've bounced off this fair value gap. There's the 20. Could come back up and tap this and just go, but there's no room here. I don't like the fact there's no room here. There's really, I think it's a 1-to-1. That would be the target. But this high right here, these highs, 2 ticks above there. So 1.15, 1.2 actually. Not interested. Small range. Plus, never touched the blue zone. About 6 minutes left. Nothing's really moving. Everything's stalled. We're sitting in the purple zone. Now, remember, the darker the color of the zone, the stronger it is. This purple zone, which is almost like a maroon magenta, that's the darkest color you can get when it comes to the purple zone. So this purple zone is above this purple zone. So this is stronger. Just like this blue zone is above this blue zone. That dark blue zone is the strongest blue zone. But I think we might just get a whole bunch of nothing. Consolidation, There's this fair value gap here, but taking a sweet time. I still think we're going to push all the way up to the green line and then make our decision there, bounce off from. But this is a very highly algorithmic zone that the market is drawn to. The blue zone and the purple zone, and the blue zone is right on top of the purple zone right now. So I can see the market coming all the way up here, but that's not something I'm interested in. We're waiting for a confirmation, which we probably will not get since this range is so big. Let's see if we at least get up to here within the next 4 minutes that we have. And then with GBP USD, nothing of interest. There's not enough room to grow down here. And that's the only confirmation we got today. None of our other assets actually confirmed. NAS back at this fair value gap. It's going to be a whole bunch of back and forth. It's now reacting off this fair value gap. Let's see if it wants to push up into the blue zone. And when you see these deep retracements, by the way, it's a deep retracement. Here's another deep retracement. When you compare, when you combine that with all the consolidation, lets you know that the market, there's a lot of manipulation happening here, but it deliberately does not want people to get in. There was no major news drivers. So let's see if we get a reaction off this fair value gap and get up here in the next 3 minutes. That's what's left in our stream. This is the area of interest right now for NAS. This fair value gap on the 5M. It should not need to come all the way back down here and take out this low if it's continuing up. So this low then becomes a protected low. And if it does rip right through there, then we might be heading down. Remember, what's the rule when you hit a fair value gap? You want to close above the series of candles that create or that tap that fair value gap. So on the 1M, as soon as the market closes, a candle closes above this range, we're most likely continuing up. But keep in mind, that's exactly what we thought here, right? And then it came back down to tap this fair value gap because that was the last fair value gap that was created. So it's playing with us. A lot of back and forth. Look how deep this is. It's filling in the entire thing. So if it takes out this low, there's nothing to be had here anyways. This is the last candle. And we'll call the stream there. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you know when we're live. Currently we're live Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. My schedule will be changing going in the future, but anytime we have any delays and you don't see us online when we're supposed to be, please check our Instagram, our at fractal.effects. That's where we post our updates. About 5 seconds left. We'll call the session there. Looks like it's continuing down a little bit. And as mentioned on GBP USD, not enough room to grow here.